my dear learners. Today we are looking at rationalization of denominators of a set, and we are looking at the type 2 questions under rationalization of denominators of a set. Under the type 2 question, the expression is of the form so the type 2 question is of the form c over a plus or minus root of b, or it can also be in the form c over root of a plus or minus root of b, or c over root of b plus or minus a. So under the steps, we have step 1. Identify the conjugates of the denominator, or you first identify the denominator and then you come out with its conjugate. And then 2, multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. And then 3, simplify the numerator and denominator where necessary. So these are the very few steps that we are going to use when we are solving questions under rationalization of set of this very type, or the type 2 question. Now let's note few important things here. So under the notes, we have note 1. Under the notes, we are having that is a plus b is the conjugate of a minus b. You can also have 2x plus 4. Its conjugate is going to be 2x minus 4. The only important thing is you change the sign. If it is positive, it becomes negative. If it is negative, it becomes what? Positive. So let's look at the note 2. And then note 3, that is C. And then under the note 3, we are looking at a plus root of b is the conjugate of a minus root of b, and vice versa. And then under the simplifications too, we are going to apply what we call the difference of two squares. It's just going to aid us or to speeding our simplification. So that is the last note. Good. So these are the very few important things that we have to note when we are solving questions under rationalization of set. Okay, now let's take examples. So we are going to start with examples. So we have example 1, examples. So yeah, the first example that we are looking at is we are to rationalize 4 out of root of 3 minus 1. We are to rationalize 4 out of 3 minus 1. So first thing, the step says identify the conjugate of the denominator. So first identify the denominator and then we find its conjugate. So we know that this is the denominator. Now what will be the conjugate? So as I said earlier on here, the only thing that changes is the sign. So if the sign is minus, it just have to change to what? Positive. If it is positive, it has to change to what? Minus between the terms. So we have the term A and then B. The sign between the two terms changes when you are conjugating or rationalizing. So looking at root of 3 minus 1 is the denominator, all right. Now its conjugate is going to be what? Root of 3 plus 1. Good. So this is the conjugate of the denominator. So the second step says multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So we are going to multiply this conjugate by the numerator and the denominator of the fraction. So let's start. So 4 out of 3 minus 1, you multiply the conjugate, which is this one, so after that we just expand and then we multiply, expand and then multiply. So we have 4 times root of 3 plus 1, we are having 4 out root of 3 plus 1 all over root of 3 minus 1 times root of 3 plus 1. So as I said, this is difference of two squares. So you just have to square the individual terms with the negative sign. So you just take the part with the negative sign and then you square the individual terms and then you are good to go. That is the simplest way you can go. If you can't get it to, you can just normal expand. So let's do the normal expansion. After that we'll come back to the difference of two squares. So we have root of 3 times root of 3, we are getting root of 3 all squared, and then root of 3 times 1, we are getting positive root of 3. Then minus 1 times root of 3, we are getting minus root of 3. And then minus 1 times 1, we are getting what? Minus 1 squared, which is the same as what? Minus 1. So from here we can see that this and that will go. This and that will go. We are left with 4 root of 3 plus 1 all over 3 minus 1. Okay. Now we can just expand and then see if we can break it to its basic form. So we can get 4 times root of 3, we are getting 4 root of 3 plus 4 all over what? 2. And this is going to give us 2 root of 3 plus what? 2. And that is the answer. Now from this very portion, as I said, you can apply the difference of two squares. So we take the one with the negative sign, so which is this very portion. So the difference of two squares says that you just have to square the first term, you square the second term, then you are good to go. So we are going to get root of 3 squared minus root of 1 squared. So it means that root of 3 squared is going to give us what? 3. And then 1 squared is giving us what? 1. We are getting 3 minus 1, which is what? 2. So it will come back straight to this very what? Portion. Because of time factor, it is better you use the difference of two squares when you see one in simplified questions. Okay, let's take the next example. Example 2. We are to rationalize 1 out of 3 minus root of 2. We have to rationalize 1 out of 3 minus 2. So following the same principles and methods, this is how we are going to get. So the conjugate of the denominator, we know that it is going to be 3 plus root of what? 2. Now we multiply this by the numerator and the denominator of the fraction. Good. So we are going to get 1 over 3 minus root of 2 times 3 plus root of 2 all over 3 plus root of 2. So we are left with normal expansion. So we are going to get 1 times 3 plus root of 2. We are getting the same 3 plus root of 2 all over. And here I'm going to apply the difference of 2 squares. So we are going to apply the difference of 2 squares. So it means that we are just going to square the one with the negative operational sign. We square each of the term. So we are going to get 3 squared minus root of 2 all squared, which is this one, because we are having difference of 2 squares, minus plus, and the terms are also the same. So we are going to get 3 plus root of 2 all over 3 squared is what? 9, minus root of 2 squared is giving us what? 2, because the square will take away the radical sign. And finally, we are having 3 plus root of 2 all over 7, and that is the answer. Very, very simple. So we have example 3. We are to rationalize 1 minus root of 2 and then 1 plus root of 2. We are to rationalize. So following the same steps, we are getting this one to be our denominator, and the conjugate is going to be 1 minus root of what? 2. This is the conjugate. So we are going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So this is the answer. You can compare what you had with my own. So we are done for the day. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this very channel for more updates.